Hello and welcome to Ula Tea Leaf Readings. My name is Lenor and tonight I'm going to be reading your tea leaves. This is a horoscope for Aquarius. If Aquarius is your solar, lunar, ascendant/rising sign, then this is a message for you. All right, let's get started. Okay, knock, knock, knock. Let's see. What do we have in store for Aquarius? I hope you all are doing well. We're now pretty well into our first week of spring. Hopefully, wherever you are, the weather has been good to you. I know a lot of people have been struggling with all kinds of bad weather, disasters. It's been difficult. So I hope tonight or whenever you are watching this, that the weather is treating you well. Okay, let's see what we have. I like to just hold this further away a little bit just so I can see. Sometimes there's some interesting shapes in the negative space, and that would be the white that is in between the tea leaves here. And so I kind of want to start. I'm going to start with this one. This one to me looks very much like a rabbit sitting with the ear, the long ear. This must be one of those jackrabbits with the really long, kind of almost goofy looking ears. This is, as always, the rabbit is a sign of fertility, prosperity, longevity, and just all around being something that is enduring. And that has a lot to do with those kind of fertility aspects and kind of spreading their seed wide, right? So there is a longevity in the bloodlines. But I think also, for a prey animal, these are very clever animals. I watch them in my backyard. I've been keeping an eye on a few of them all winter, seeing how they've been faring. And, they just are so interesting. Just so kind of skittish, but they will not let themselves be seen unless they want you to see them. I really do believe that about the rabbits. And they hide in the silliest places, I will say, but they blend in so much that they get away with it. So I think that for me, going into this reading, just off the top, I get the feeling, and because this is in a seated position, I get the feeling that you don't have a big outward personality. You have a deep personality. You have a rich interior world. I do believe that. I think that you're probably a little bit on the quieter side. You're more introspective. You speak when you have something to say. But other than that, you reserve your energy. You move with precision. It's very thoughtful. There's a lot of intention in the things that you do. But I do also think that when you are startled or afraid or overwhelmed, you sometimes take a moment to kind of, and this is almost like a deer in headlights, right? You take a moment to pause, and there's kind of a shock sometimes, and then decide to, stay and fight maybe, but most likely get out of there. And somewhat avoidant of conflict, I would think. Okay, nothing wrong with that. I get it. I don't, I count my good days by how long it's been since I got into an argument, you know? And those are pretty rare. So I'm thankful for that. I maybe am a bit avoidant myself. I don't like to get involved with people who like to argue. So I get it. Now I see that this is kind of right next to this interesting formation here. In my mind, it looks very much like a garden. Okay, I think that, and this makes sense, we're going into either spring in the northern hemisphere or in the southern, the fall, which I imagine is similar to the northern hemisphere, the harvest time. Okay, so either way, these are significant periods of time for any kind of growing of vegetables and fruits and these kinds of things. So I do think that you must be coming into a period of time where you are sowing your seeds, right? You are planting, you're beginning to plant in very fertile ground. And this is, again, with that fertility, right? But I think that this has taken a lot of work to prepare the soils, okay, or the psyche. This could be a physical, truly physical, okay, physical fertility, physical reproducing, or I think most likely this is more about either work, creative processes, working within the psyche, doing interior work, spiritual work, okay? This looks like a vast layout here, okay? So I think that you have been really, really, really working hard to lay the ground for this new beginning that is happening. And I think at this point, I kind of want to talk about the card that I pulled for this reading. And this is, and let me put this down so I'm not juggling all these things. That's when I start dropping stuff. Okay, so we have the Queen of Cups. And look at how beautiful. This is the water on water, okay? Very mental, very spiritual, emotional, okay? Very fluid, introspective. You think of the waters easily disturbed though, right? Something goes in there and there is a ripple effect. You can kind of even see that here. It's reflecting. This is also a beautiful image of what is reflected in our conscious is reflects more also in our psychic spaces, in our unconscious, and vice versa, okay? What comes up out of the waters of our unconscious is then manifest into these physical, emotional, psychic realms, okay? And so I think, and this makes sense, we're talking about Aquarius, and although you're not technically a water element or ruled by a water element, excuse me, you are, water adjacent, the water carrier. So it makes sense that a card like this would come up. And I think that this really tells me you are affected by not only your environment, but the emotions of other people around you heavily. You are probably what people like to call, and probably throw this term around a lot, but somebody who would be considered maybe an empath, okay? I think also you're just very sensitive. And shout out to us very sensitive people. I consider myself very sensitive as well. So I get the feeling that as I'm looking at this, that recently there's kind of been a break in energy in your life, okay? I feel that you probably were spending a lot of time, almost like somebody was monopolizing your time, your concentration, your focus. I think probably physical presence, your, physical efforts, your energies, your emotional energies really monopolized. I think the person that you have been maybe dating, maybe living with, a roommate, family member, I don't know that it's so much of a coworker. I think this is more of like on a intimate, but not like necessarily physical. It could be physical. It could be romantic. I'm not sure. But intimate in that it's not a super formal relationship necessarily. The boundaries are blurred. Now, this could be a work person, but likely if it was, it like crosses over into living together or, I don't know, like a weird power dynamic there. Or maybe like you were a caretaker to somebody and you stayed at their home a lot. Something like that maybe. Now, I am thinking that, and I'm looking at this. I want to look at this while we're talking about what's going on here. So I see this kind of figure it's very tall. It almost has like a wolf's head, okay? It looks like it's kind of shouting or just talking, talk, right? And it's just pouring out of its mouth. Now I see this kind of smaller figure, kind of like almost, it's not bowing, but just kind of like made to be on a lower level almost. And I think that with this person, it's almost, I get the impression that it's like they almost would always like talk over you, talk at you, talk down to you. Kind of like not even, it wasn't even that they necessarily cared that they were talking to you, just talking, right? They made you feel like less than to some degree or forgotten, looked over, just kind of almost like you were a servant or something, right? Somebody that just was there to serve their ego or serve their need for attention. And I think that this really was devastating for you because you had to endure those emotions, but you're such like a open and empathetic person that you saw that a lot of what was going on with them was coming from a place of pain. And, that they had not done a lot of self work and were not very like, they had not alchemized a lot of themselves. They had not evolved a lot of their parts of their personality, integrated parts. This is just somebody who is like operating in their base emotions. And you, I think, were really trying to hang on, really trying to be there, be supportive, be understanding, be, caring, loving, attentive, but also kind of almost, I get this feeling of being just like a tidal wave of their emotions kind of seeping into you. So you're carrying around their kind of ill emotion, ill thinking, ill worldview, very selfish type of person. Now, this does not leave a lot of room for you to be yourself. And I think that it's easy to be in a situation like this for not even that long, and you can start to feel like this is like the new normal of life. Like this, your world gets very small when you're around somebody like this. And it's almost like you're being held captive. You know, that's what the thinking that keeps coming to my mind. Now, it doesn't necessarily, maybe it was not that extreme, okay? And maybe I'm overstating it, but I feel like it is something that does happen, that you can, when somebody has a big personality and they are not in control of their emotions, and they're good at kind of making the world work for them. They're very good at kind of weaving webs of like getting people, ensnared in their kind of wants, needs, necessities, and just kind of making people forget that they can just walk away, right? Like you get trapped in these kind of relationships or these dynamics, and you spend all this time trying to make this person happy and comfortable, and running errands for them, and learning all the things that they like and what they don't like and how they want things done, and next thing you know, it's just you haven't been thinking about yourself at all, or taking care of the things you need done. And that is kind of by design. Even if this person is not like consciously doing it, it's like how they've developed to interact with people so they can get what they want. Okay, it's their way of surviving. And so anyways, I think that this has been going on, but then something has happened that you've broken away from this dynamic. Okay, I don't think that it is happening at the time of this reading. I think it's either coming to an end or it has already ended. And now you're going into this new part of your life. And I think that, there's a lot of, it's like, I think when you have been in a major crisis, you're in survival mode, there's chaos, right? And you're just trying to do what you can to get through a situation. And especially if that goes on for a while, and then you come out of that and it's like life is so much different. It's a lot slower. It might not be as straightforward as far as like what needs to get done right this moment. There are so many more choices, right? And you have to start to find meaning in what you do, in why you do things, and how you feel, how what is your path? A lot of existential questions, but also just basic stuff like what do you want to do with your time? What are you going to do with your free time? Who are you going to spend your time with? Who are you going to let into your personal life? I mean, these things, when that big thing goes away in your life and you have all this room, it can be kind of terrifying. It can be almost like you feel like you have no purpose, like you're just kind of spinning around and around. But, I really want to appeal to you in just waiting that out a little bit, okay? Not making any kind of rash decisions while you're feeling like that. I think that this is a really good time for you to just, take things slowly. If you do not have your routine, or your routine has been altered, getting into a good routine that makes sense to you. Okay, that's a big thing. Finding the how you like to do things, when you like to do them, when do they work for you. you know, and just, I'm trying to think. I think that also, and this might be after, you know, you make sure all of those kinds of, like fundamental things have been met, making sure, you know, you have your living situation set up, right? And you might already, maybe none of this has changed. Okay, so, you know, don't listen to this part if you, but some people, you know, sometimes you go through a big change in life, you have to find housing. You have to, you know, find the new store that you want to go to. What kinds of new meals are, especially if you've been living with somebody who makes a lot of the decisions that you kind of, you know, are doing what they like. You have to think about, like, what kinds of things do you want to eat? You know, what are you going to do in your free time when you're not in work? You know, maybe you have some interests that you want to follow. And I think that also, and this is from my recovery life, which I've talked about on here before, is that when you're getting into recovery, and this is from kind of 12-step stuff, it's really important for you to stay busy, right? But it's also important for you to do things that are not just for yourself. It's important to do things that are of service to others. Okay, so like volunteering, getting involved in groups in your community, church groups, aid groups, mutual aid, whatever it is. I mean, it doesn't really matter. Going to the hospital, I don't know, doing things online. I mean, there are so many things online you can do. Be wary of scams, though. I will say that. Please don't, you know, vet whatever you get involved with. But I think that for you, because you are a very emotional, a very empathetic, a very giving person, it's important for you to give your time to somebody, but with boundaries, okay? And so if you're doing this with a group or a cause that's already set in place, there are going to be reasonable boundaries already kind of set up for you, okay? So I think that might be a really, really good option. I also think that getting involved with something like this is going to help you feel like you're doing something, that you are kind of surrounding yourself with other people who are, you know, doing something selfless, probably have, you know, to some degree, I mean, I would think, you know, have good intentions, have kind of a good energy going. And I think that's really going to make all the difference for you. And I want to look at this this one looks like somebody diving. Okay. We turned it and this is same formation, different kind of thing. Now this is the same person, right? You kind of, and this was the person that we were talking about that you've kind of cut ties with. But now we'll look at this like you're kind of like diving into your interior, your unconscious, your spiritual place in you know, that's full of just treasures for you. And some of them might be more difficult and some of them might be more blissful, right? But I think that you're really in this kind of recovery mode. And I mean recovering like treasures, okay? You're diving down there, you're exploring, you're kind of dusting off the ground, and there are these beautiful, beautiful artifacts coming up, and you're going to take them with you and go and look at them, right? And really explore these parts of yourself. And I think that you're really going to have the clarity to do that if you are able to You know, give of yourself, do some service, but also, you know, like we talked about, set up those fundamental things, those, you know, the routines, having hobbies, having, you know, maybe some new friendships, maybe, you know, reuniting with some old ones. I really feel like there was almost an aspect of being kind of isolated with this person that you know, possibly were in a relationship. Maybe you were, like I said, taking care of them, and that just became your world. Okay. And that happens. But now you're in a place where you're going to be looking for, other things in the world. And I think really, like at the beginning, we were talking about sowing those seeds in your garden, which are going to, you know, start sprouting pretty soon. It's getting warmer and it's just about that time. And then we have this nice little heart right here. I think that really in your emotional spaces, I can really feel that you're growing in confidence, just leaps and bounds. Okay. I almost, you know, I really feel that whatever the situation you've been in, I think that you had the best intentions. And I think that maybe, you know, you weren't treated the way that maybe you should have been, or the person really just wasn't well enough to know that they were not treating you well. And, I think that this is, you know, it's going to be really important to think about doing, you know, maybe some therapy, some real reflection about what went on, how you felt, you know, going forward, what kinds of people you, maybe if you are a caretaker, what kinds of clients you're going to take on. If it was a family member, how are you going to be able to help people in the future? And if it was especially a relationship, I mean, really, really thinking about, and this is, you know, especially if there's some kind of therapy that you can get involved with, or counseling or something, to think about the, you know, hopefully not making a pattern of being with somebody who is going to kind of be so domineering and overpowering of all of your, you know, your attention and your energy. Okay. I see this beautiful little bird. I really think that this is, you know, a time of blossoming, prosperity, just a beautiful awakening. I think that this is also going to help your alignment with other family members. I'm seeing kind of, you know, these groupings of, well, they look like animals to me, but, you know, your tribe kind of coming back together. And I think that, you know, this happens when you, when you're so busy or just heavily focused on one person or one person's well-being, is that we fall out of touch with other people. And that can cause some resentment, or, you know, maybe people in your life have been worried about you. You've been kind of MIA. But I think you're really coming back around. And so I think that, you know, of course, take care of yourself before anything else. But, you know, I think some of these relationships might need some, a little bit of TLC as well. And I just wanted to point out the T, and this is getting dry, so the T, and we have a V. Okay, so I think we have somebody probably with a T name and somebody with a V name. Somebody in your family with the V name. And I think that's going to be somebody that's really going to be very, they're going to be very supportive of this process that you're going through right now, and probably very excited for you to be around more often. Okay. And then the T, I don't know. I almost kind of, as I'm looking at it, it almost looks like there's like half a heart here. Oh, let me see this. So there's the T and then there's the half a heart or kind of a broken off heart. And I wonder if the person that you had been kind of entangled with, if that was a T person. Okay. And so that might be their name. That might be, you know, some kind of describing word. But, you know, if they're, I think that it has not been the easiest. Whatever happened for you to separate has not been the easiest. Okay. And I think that, like any other situation where you're coming out of a very intense ordeal, it's easy to kind of like backslide into that. But I would say really, really, really for your own progress, give it some time. You know, don't answer the phone for like a few days. If you can make it a few days, try a few more days. Okay? Because I think that this person is definitely, you know, I think it could almost be like they broke it off with you. They threw you out, whatever. And then they're going to try to, you know, whine and cry and be devastated and this and that, to get you back. And I think this is very much like a control thing. You know, and they've maybe even done this before. But I hope that this time is the time that you stay away and you kind of break free of this. And I kind of feel like the symbols I'm seeing, it could possibly really be that time that you are done. You are done. Okay? And I want to look at this. We have a beautiful bird again. And this one, it looks like a bird, which I really feel like it looks like a songbird, and it looks like, you know, just singing a beautiful, like singing the sunrise up, right? And then I see a bird in flight as well. And I feel like you really are just going to get away from the situation finally. And, I think that it's going to be kind of a twisted path. I don't think it's going to be easy every single, you know, moment, but I think that you're going to make some really nice connections, especially if you're doing some of this service work, some of this volunteering, some of this donating of your time. And I almost wonder if through this work you are going to maybe find some kind of new position or meet somebody that, excuse me one second. I have the remnants of this COVID stuff, and it's almost gone, I think, out of my chest. But I think that you could maybe find a new position, like a work position, or maybe finding, you know, meeting somebody that you can do some kind of project with or some kind of small business. I think that there's going to be new money coming in for you, like a new, at least side stream of money, and you know, a little bit of financial freedom coming your way. Okay, an influx of a little bit of money there. Okay, and that. So I think it's, you know, it might be a really good time to look for something that you like doing. With your extra time, if you have it, the volunteering. And, you know, I think a lot of times when we do kinds of volunteering, giving our time, meeting people, kind of networking, we find things that we never knew that we really loved doing. And, you know, these new ways of living emerge, these new, potential business situations emerge, or you meet somebody who might have like a job for you to do. I mean, you know, I think that it's a win-win, definitely. So, Okay, Aquarius, I want to thank you so much. I always appreciate your time and being able to bring these messages to you. I'm so honored. And if you would be so kind as to like the video, it helps me get in the algorithm, and that's always a good thing. And let's see, we hit 5K. So let's see, I have a couple more videos to do, and then I'm gonna get on a schedule of doing 2 readings a day. So that will mean that each sign will be read once a week instead of every 12 days. So I thank every one of you that is subscribed, and if you haven't already, please think about doing it. And you can hit the little bell button that will let you know when the next videos are coming out. And I always forget this I was like, what's the third thing? Leave a comment if you feel like you want to share something. I love hearing from all of you. You all are so sweet and have the best energy, and really just make my day. I really appreciate every comment that I get, even if it's a little sassy. There are some sassy ones once in a while. But yeah, I want to thank you, and I will be back again really soon to talk to you. I don't know exactly what day it is, but I gotta get my schedule worked out here. So thank you so much.